Hi, welcome to another video of OpenCV and Python on my BeagleBoard. Last time I managed to get finally some more results using some different values for the brown arrays. And when you look at this and this picture, they look mostly the same, just this brightness is different. However, when you look at the original picture, the question is, do I get what I want? And that question for now has to be answered as no, because what I do want is to have this part and here to stand out from the whole picture, which means that this here and here has to stand out as brown. And by the way, if you look at this area and you compare that with this area, it looks like it actually does select brown, but it doesn't look like brown to me. So it is partly correct and partly incorrect. Now, when you look at different tints of or color variation, this is lighter color, this is lighter color, and this is pretty dark. So, a first conclusion could be that this is okay, but the lower brown should be a slightly different value. So let's take another look at this picture, and we can use the color probe again to sense which value this actually is, although in the past we have seen that that is hardly a real solution. So what I can try is to vary a little bit with these values to see how we end up. So that can be slight variations. So if I change this to 55, what will happen? I have no idea. Let's find out. Okay, something goes wrong. Invalid syntax. Why is there an invalid syntax? Let me go back and change this. Is there an invalid syntax as well? There is an invalid syntax, which is where? Which is here. Okay. Now it does. So that was a typo from last time, I suppose. Let's see what happens this time. hardly any change. If I go here to 90, this is just experimenting. I have no idea about whatever will happen, and so far nothing spectacular happens in that this becomes solid like this is. So apparently I need to find out more with the color picking and then varying the colors. So that is next. While using GIMP again to probe the colors, it is not making much of a sense. As you can see, all the values are shown. Last time we showed and noticed that it was HSV, hue saturation value. However, if we compare this to the current values, it doesn't make much sense. And I think I'll just have to experiment more with it. And just see whatever will happen. If anything at all. And it looks like the brighter gets brighter, which is hue saturation and value, but let's adjust to UE. UE is the colorization, so that has to be in the same. That can only change little. Saturation, that is not much of a help. Value, lighter and darker. So the value for this part should be in the in my opinion rather high, around 91 or 90 or something. So how do we have the value, which is 40, and if I remember correctly it started out with 60. And of course I have to keep in mind that I'm talking about the lower value range. So when looking here, saturation is around 37, so it was, I remember that it was about 100 here. So if we lower this to 37, what will happen? Quite curious. And this is quite remarkable, because here we see a bright stripe, which is a white color table, but it is this is quite remarkable. Because we apparently we select on a totally different value. This is grayish. So if we do something like this, I go by 10. And let's once again see what happens. I also noticed that it slows down quite a bit, and I have no idea why that happens. But I have to get rid of this grey part, because I want just brown. So let's go back to it was 100, I think. It slows down quite a bit. I'm going to 80. And of course I have to remember that the BeagleBoard isn't a very fast computer. See, the stripe is gone again. So let's go to 74. On the other hand, why is the part that I do want not colored in like it is here? It looks like all black and white. And I have to be patient. There it goes. Let's take 75. Save it again. Run. And then the question also is, what are these stripes? I assume it's not the colors that I intend to see. About here, isn't there? No, it's lower. It's in that region. So it is selecting on black, white and grey rather than brown, and that is very remarkable. So am I actually looking at the hue saturation value of brown? That's a very good question. So when I probe here, extremely different values. So the conversion I'm doing, am I really using this? Which is a very neat question. Once again, testing this. It is very different altogether. So why am I looking? Well, this black should be black because I'm masking the color, but when I use these values, it really shows all black with a blue border. which is exactly what it's supposed to do. However, I need to see brown here, and that is not working, which is a nuisance. So something either in my perception or in information I find is wrong. The question is what? Another question I could ask is, am I actually using the car picture? When looking back for the HSV, I am using DST5. DST5 is written to disk here to the file named proc13 border. So if I go back in time, proc13 border is obviously the colored version. So yes, I am using the colored version, yet I don't see any brown where it should be, except this is highlighted as I said before, but I'm not looking at brown, I'm looking at grayish value. And here I am using color BGR2 HSV. So and here I'm using HSV as well. So whatever is going on, it is a very strange thing in my opinion. This is a masking, so that is this is masking, but there's no color in it, because white and black are not real colors. Black is just absorbing all light, and white is nothing but reflecting all light. So if you go here, you see the true colors, which you don't see here. And I would have loved to see the brownish colors instead of the white. So for now, my suspicion is that these UV saturation values are not the values I'm looking for, but some were different. Although the information I found on HSV is quite similar. So when I do it on site and look at the HSV value, or the H value in this case, UE, then it stays around 42. Which is okay with me, but let's see back. This is 42. The lightest is 10, so maybe if I change this, whatever happens then? I see some specs here, so let's go to 40 and 30. And this is clearly not what I'm supposed to, what I want. So first going back to 10. Oops. And this is strange anyway, because UE is, according to the information I have, the color, and not, say, illumination or something, or brightness. So with all this testing, I suspect that I have a wrong mindset about HSV. I know what HSV does, but with its values I have to investigate further, because so far the experiment has not led to nothing else but some spots which somehow do resemble parts of this image, but not the right color, not by far. While these values are not coming back in the GIMP representation, like here. So another suspicion may be that GIMP is not the correct tool to use for the HSV, which means that I have to go look for another tool. Anyway, so much for this episode of experimenting. Thank you for watching, and to be continued.